Hi, and welcome to this live reading from Super Sorry by C.A. King, and this is presented by Itsy Bitsy Book Bits. Chapter 1. Sarah Sorry tapped her foot, waiting for the train doors to open. Normally, she wouldn't have budged from her seat until they came to a full stop. Today was different, though. Both her parents and brother were on the same car. That meant escape or remain prisoner for an entire day. It was the perfect plan. All she needed to do was manage to lose her way, coincidentally hooking up with friends. After that, she was home free. There'd be a text followed by a meeting of the minds, of course, before the family agreed to part ways. That was merely a formality, though. She knew her mother well. The apple never fell far from the tree, after all. Being preoccupied with appearances, Mrs. Sorry never whined about family obligations in front of a bunch of teens. In her mom's own words, it wasn't cool. Goals might have shifted in middle age, but the results were the same. Parents wanted to be the popular with the younger generation. It was an unwritten competition of some sort. For generations, the landmark festival had signaled it was the end of summer, hosting more activities than any other event of its type and at a fraction of the cost. Organizers made sure there was something for everyone, including horse and dog shows, food from around the world, a giant midway with games, rides, and everything in between. It was the ultimate mix, the charm of the country fair blended with the excitement of the big city. Families, teens, and couples flocked there by the groves for one last magical moment before the hazy, lazy, sunny days bid adieu for another year. Sure, there were other amusement parks and fun activities in the area, but nothing could compare to those last 2 weeks in August. It was nostalgic. It was the thing to do, the place to be. Unfortunately, parents seldom knew when it was time to let go of their child's hand and pass the torch. As a kid, it was exciting to know the entire family was planning a visit to the same place their parents' took them. After hearing the same story about the wooden roller coaster they met and fell in love on for the 100th time, however, it lost its luster. It was one thing to be told something was awesome and another to experience it for oneself. A lot of the allure of the festival was the way it was all organized. It offered so much for all generations, only part of which was meant to be discovered as a family unit. There was the past to reminisce about, love stories to be gushed over, and a new generation of eager children to visit with. As a teen, there was a whole different world of excitement waiting to be explored. Last stop! The announcement was as clear as day. They had arrived. Once the doors opened, it was a relatively short walk over a bridge to the train's side entrance. For a park the size that it was, entrances were lacking. There was, of course, a front gate constructed of tall pillars and arches. That was the tourist access point. Locals knew driving into a big city was a nightmare. Parking alone blew budgets. End of the line! That was the signal she'd been waiting for. Sarah's fists balled, ready for the task ahead. The doors opened, and the pushing began. The flow was everything. With her head hung low to avoid being seen by the rest of her family, Sarah allowed herself to be shoved in a forward motion. Her knuckles turned white from their tight grips, sweat from her palms adding moisture to a pay-one-price pass. Nothing was stopping her. Next! That was the cue to put the plan in motion. A tacky orange bracelet awaited her wrist. The entrance fee and all the rides she could handle were included as long as she wore it. There was no reason to spend hundreds of dollars for a day's worth of fun, at least not there. Between the free rides and the food buildings, it was as cheap a day as they came. Patience was the name of the game when it came to budgeting on the fly. Food giveaways and inexpensive samples loomed around every corner. Of course, there was no being picky. Her diet was normally quite strict when it came to carbs. For one afternoon, cheat day was the only choice. It could have been pasta or pizza that she ended up with after all. Luckily, the walking in evened things out calorie-wise. Sarah glanced back at her family, still standing patiently in the line for their turn. Meet you on the other side. Waiting for an answer wasn't part of the plan. She was past security and through the turnstile gates in the blink of an eye. There you are! Christy exclaimed, her blonde ponytail swinging as if it had a life of its own. By the end of the day, she'd be the only one whose hair hadn't moved. That was the power of extra hold hairspray in a blow-dryer. We were starting to think you ditched. Sarah nodded toward the entrance. My folks are here with the rest of the family. They insisted we all take the same tray together. You know how overprotective they can be. So you need us to pretend we met by chance? Bonnie asked, eyebrows arched. Why do parents do that to us? Here they come, Christy whispered, nudging her friends, one with each elbow. Hi, Mr. and Mrs. Sorry, she flashed a perfect smile, adding a princess wave for good measure. Imagine meeting you here! What a coincidence! Indeed, Mrs. Sorry said, eyeballing her daughter. Disappointment oozed from her pores. What are you girls up to? We were just about to head over to watch a horse show, Bonnie replied, brushing one hand through her hair. The dew wasn't long enough to need either a blow-dryer or hairspray. She simply hopped out of the shower ready to go. That was a gift. Not everyone could pull off that short of a cut, but on Bonnie it worked. Would you mind if Sarah came along? It's just the three of you? Mr. Sorry asked. The city is a dangerous place for young girls. I'm not sure. It's fine, Mrs. Sorry interrupted. They'll be careful. They are teenagers after all. We have to trust them. You'll check in every hour, Mr. Sorry ordered, looking down at his daughter over a pair of dark sunglasses. One hand disappeared into his pocket, pulling out a few bills. Promise. The cash was too high for anyone in the family to reach, his long arms span making sure not even jumping would make a difference. Promise, Sarah chuckled, standing on her tiptoes, stretching. He lowered his hand so the money was within her grasp. We'll be around. Don't spend it all in one place, Mr. Sorry yelled after them. She'll be back for more by lunch. Oh, yeah, Mrs. Sorry snickered. They always come back. Let's go, gang. What do you want to see first? The history of the toilet, Jerome blurted out. That's the best thing here. I made a plan of everything we need to visit. He pulled out a notebook, colorful sticky notes marking each item of interest and the location. It's going to be a long day, Mr. Sorry said, shaking his head. All right, kiddo. Lead the way. It was still early enough that some of the stands weren't open for the day, and the midway rides were still being tested. Sarah inhaled deeply, relishing in the faint scent of freshly squeezed orange juice. That wasn't happening. The cup contained more calories than a full meal, even from a few 100 feet away. Still, the fragrance was invigorating. In a couple of hours, less pleasant odors would take over the area, especially being near public bathrooms. Isn't the horse show in the other direction? Bonnie asked, scowling. Could have sworn the map said it was to the north. I thought we'd make a pit stop, Christy chuckled, pulling out a compact mirror. We need to go to the ride that spins in circles. I didn't realize you'd become a fan of that one, Bonnie snickered. Didn't you almost throw up on it last year? Hardy har har, Christy replied, hands pressed firmly on her hips. We are going there for a different reason. I happen to know Zane got a job here and is the one operating it. Chad and Mick are bound to be hanging around somewhere. I just need to find them. There isn't much time left to snag a boyfriend before school starts after all. You do know how many people are going to be here, right? Sarah complained. We could walk around all day and never run into them or anyone else. That's why we are going to visit with Zane for a bit. Christy rolled her eyes, walking away in a huff. Trust me, it's a foolproof plan. I don't want to stand around one ride all day, waiting, Bonnie called out after her, scrambling to catch up. It didn't matter what anyone wanted. When Christy made up her mind up about something, everyone simply ended up going along with whatever crazy plan she concocted. Me either, Sarah's shoulders slumped. No one had heard her. They were already too far ahead and in the ear range of music meant to occupy the large crowd stuck waiting in extremely long lineups. At least if they were separated, she knew exactly where they'd be. It was obvious. None of them were budging from Zane's side until Christy was dangling off Chad's arm. The universe had already preordained that it happened in exactly that way, even if he was the object of affection for all three of them. In every school and every generation, there was always one it girl, one it guy, and together they made the it couple. There were enough movies on that very subject to prove the point. Christy was that girl. If Canadian schools had cheerleaders, she would have been the leader of the squad. As it was, they didn't, for the most part. Chad was her counterpart, adored by many, dated by few. Smile, Christy said, taking another selfie with Zane. The pictures were already on her social media walls, each ensuring he was properly tagged. She knew exactly what she was doing. It wouldn't be long before all his friends knew where she was and how to find her. Are you buddies stopping by to see you today? Zane shook his head, rolling his eyes. Chad will be here later. Do me a favor and go on the ride. I'll get in trouble if you were just hanging around. Oh, Chrissy exclaimed. Okay. She carefully stepped over a few cords on her way to the first car. Only you would wear heels to a Midway. Zane snickered, opening the seat's safety bar. All three of you getting in? Yeah, Bonnie answered, latching arms with Sarah. Why not? All it does is spin, right? She exchanged glances with Zane and her friends. Yup, Zane agreed. Right around. Hope you like being dizzy, because if you're waiting for Chad, he won't get here for a few hours. That's a lot of riding. I'm not sure this is a good idea, Sarah suggested. It was too late. Zane lifted her onto the car's platform. A jerk on her arm pulled her into place on the seat, a perfect fit for the three of them. We're good, Christy exclaimed as the bar went down again, this time locking. This is going to be fun. She swallowed the lump forming in her throat. We went on this one last year. It was okay. Not for hours, Sarah complained, rolling her eyes. I think we should go over there and get a drink after this. It might be better to pace ourselves. There's no line, so I can keep things going a bit longer for you three, Zane yelled from the control booth. His eyebrows waggled as they made their first turn. That's super nice of you, Sarah said, donning a fake smile. He's going to enjoy torturing us, isn't he? He better not be filming it, Christy huffed as they went around again. That's his phone he's holding, isn't it? It was impossible to tell with the accelerating speed. All right, sit up straight, and no screaming. Wouldn't that look strange? Bonnie asked, scrunching up her nose. Shouldn't we be having fun? Good point. Smile! Christy forced herself to glance at Zane every time the cup faced his way. How are we doing? It's getting faster, Sarah said, holding on as the three slipped to the side, squashing her friends. Ow! Christy complained. You're squishing me. Move over. I can't, Sarah complained. It's gravity, not me. Her muscles strained, knuckles turning white from the pressure. A bell rang, the ride's speed reaching its fastest level. All three girls held onto the bar, desperately trying to pull themselves toward the opposite side to no avail. It was hopeless. None of them could even complain, the wind forcing words back down the throat of any mouth brave enough to open. Sirens sounded, piercing their eardrums over all the other noises. Even their own screams drowned out. Then came the silence. The ride began to slow, the pull lessening with each rotation. Sarah scooted over, reclaiming her end seat as the cups trickled to a stop in the same position from which they originally began. How was that, girls? Zane clapped his hands together, smiling. The bar unlocked. He offered a lift out. Great, Christy said, her smile faltering but still present. She wobbled her way down some stairs. Good times, Bonnie replied, brows arching as she followed, exiting the ride. Can't wait to do it again. I think I'll sit on the outside next time, though. Thanks, Sarah muttered, rubbing life back into her hands. Zane hopped down off the platform. I can have the guys message you when they get here. If you want the real fun, though, come back after the park closes. It's a big party, by invitation only. Really? Christy's eyes lit up. We'll be here. I don't think I can, Sarah blurted out. My parents are never going to agree to me staying that late. We'll figure it out, Christy argued, linking arms. Have Chad text me. She waved her free hand over her head. There's no way my folks are going to agree, Sarah sighed. It doesn't matter what we say. We'll tell them you are sleeping over at my place, Christy suggested. We'll be honest about staying a bit later and taking the train back. It's perfect. Except for the fact last time we tried that, they caught us, Sarah huffed. Sorry, I can't. You two can still go, though. Part of her hoped they'd say no. Best friends stuck together. Duh, Christy snickered, as if we'd missed the party of the century because you have lame parents. Let's get something to eat. I want to get it out of the way. I hate chewing in front of Chad. Her ponytail bounced as she walked off in search of pizza.